Hi there. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video. Why am I here? Who am I? I'll start there. I'm a Christian. I'm a conservative. I've spent a fair amount of my life on and off as being Goth, identifying as Goth. It's weird to say it because usually like the Goth thing to do is be like, I'm not Goth. But like, yeah, that's where my tastes are. That's where my music is. And one of the reasons why I'm making this channel is because I'm also a mental health therapist. So this is my personal channel and where I'm going to express my personal voice. Because if I express the things I will express elsewhere on here, my opinions, my thoughts on the world, well, they'd go after me like Jordan Peterson. So this is my personal channel. If you happen to be a client, happens to stumble across this, click away. Don't watch the rest. I'm going to be going into my beliefs and attitudes on this channel because I've become very political, or rather outspoken now at this point with my politics. So the assassination of Charlie Kirk, somebody that I only in the past couple of months had started listening to and watching, that's been a turning point in my life. I've had conservative kinds of values for a long time, and my faith has taken various paths over the course of my life, and I'll probably do a video on that, from struggling with running towards atheism and hypocrisy in the church to finally coming back and renewing my faith in Christ, to years of kind of having a lackluster sort of faith and slowly coming back to God. This event that has happened has charged me that I can't be afraid of the left anymore. I can't be afraid of speaking out for my beliefs and my values. And to speak out in a field, the mental health field, the therapy field, that is dominated by left-wing ideology, dominated by it. Most therapists, most counselors, most psychiatrists, psychologists, they are liberals. And you'll see that if you go to Google and click in some searches about that, you'll find at least a couple things that talk about just how much of the field is dominated by the left. And so they're embedded in it. From how they do research, the questions they'll ask, the grants they'll go after, the answers that they'll provide, the ethical codes that they make, the kinds of treatment that they'll allow, that from the top down, the kinds of things you're allowed to do and not do. And I see that bias, and I've seen it from the textbooks that I had to read, to the trainings, then the continuing education, and just how embedded it is. And I endured it. I endured it through grad school. I've endured it in the 7-8 years or so that I've been in this field, and I'm finding my voice. I did my best to stay quiet, to fit in, to be invisible, to remain neutral and not rock the boat in this profession. Because honestly, for as much as I like talking about politics, and I do like it, and I do like to debate things, I could experience in grad school this visceral hatred from people. And I debate them on something that's a pet topic for them. I would get anger. I would get some wrath from people. It was evoking their disgust for me that I dare challenge them, disagree with them. But in community mental health, I had to shut up and take it. And fortunately, being in private practice for several years now, I don't have to experience the same kind of things I experienced in my previous work. And so that's good. So private practice is definitely a place of a fresh air to get rid of the ideology being shoved down our throats. But it's only a sanctuary for so long. They're just going to keep pushing this ideology. I need to speak up. Conservatives in the field need to speak up. The death of Charlie Kirk, the murder and assassination of him, pushed me to this point. I need to confront the lies of the left, the gaslighting, the manipulation, the projection, the authoritarian dictates, the bullying, the judgment, the superior attitudes. No. No more. I'm putting this out there to say, no more. We're taking a stand. Everybody who's not bought in should be taking a stand. Like, I welcome the moderates, the centrists, the people who go like, yeah, I'm liberal, but man, the left's really changed. It's moved so far. Like, man, come and debate, make your voice heard, because as conservative values have mostly stayed in kind of one place or so, and there are very varying conservative values. There's a lot of dialogue and debate in the right without cancellation, and that's great to have that. But the left, we've seen it, has gone just over here, and the farther they go, the more they go, well, we're right wing. They get farther away from us and lose more and more perspective of what we believe and what we stand for and why and where this stuff comes from. How it's embedded in like thousands of years of thought and history and culture in the Western world. And they come farther and farther away and throw all these labels at us as fascist and oppressor and all these kinds of things. And as they take critical theory, Marxist theory of abolish everything and tear it all down, all the existing like precepts of societies, then they get farther away from us and they say we're the ones that changed, we're the ones that moved. And I go, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You don't know what a man or what a woman is anymore. Do you know what the color of the sky is? Like, what color is grass? Like, I mean, it used to be laughable and ridiculous. Then I saw it in the textbooks. Sue and Sue, that was one of the textbooks writers for my multicultural textbook, where I was first exposed to things like microaggressions, things like a racial theory that basically, what's it called? What do the Marxists call it? Consciousness raising, Marxist term. That people who are black who don't buy into left-wing oppressed ideology to see how oppressed they are, well, they're like lower on the scale. Like, they don't get it. They need their consciousness of how oppressed, of how racist our culture is, of how evil our culture is, how oppressed they are in every way and every day, and how bad it is in our society. That's consciousness raising. They need that consciousness raised. Came across that, and that microaggressions, where virtually anything you do, however your behaviors are interpreted, whoever's making the interpretations, if you go, well, that person holding a door open for me, if I'm a minority, that was racist of them to do that for whatever reason, whatever their thinking was, the evil white oppressor, then if the interpretation is that it was offensive, then it's offensive. These radical concepts promoted in the textbooks, promoted in the field, they've been seething underneath on the left in academia, promoted in the schools and in trainings. Not challenged, not debated, not very public. They've been there for decades. They've been working on it for a century. And then it comes out, though. College and graduate school, where you get exposed to these things, where I was exposed to these things in like 2015, 2016, before this stuff was fully blowing up into the scene. And it was, whoa, what is going on here? And I debated some of it in school, but it's gone even farther still into the mainstream. And all of a sudden, if you don't agree with it, You're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you're hateful, you're bigoted, you're phobic. All these terms, all these bullying terms, all these labels, all these things that from a cognitive perspective go like, there are cognitive distortions going on here. This is all or nothing thinking. This is labeling other people. This is being malicious and hateful itself. How can you not have the perspective, the insight to go like, wait a minute, if I like hate those conservatives and like they're evil and I want them to die, like, because they're so hateful. They're so hateful. How can you not have the perspective to go, wait a minute, the one who's hateful is me? I'm the bad guy? What's that skit where they go, are we the baddies? And they look around. It's like I want the left to go to look at themselves. Stop making excuses and look at yourselves. And go, question, are we the baddies? Yes. Marxist communist ideology has usurped whatever the left may have been before, whatever the Democratic Party may have been before. If you go into history and you learn more about what the Communist Party was doing, what the socialists were doing, from the Soviet Union, working on the U.S. and the people sympathetic to it in the 20s, 30s, 40s, they've been intentionally usurping the liberal Democratic side for 100 years or more. And people don't even know because you don't learn about it in public school or in school in general. This is not, I mean, this is like, right-wing stuff. This is just history. It's pretty well documented. They didn't want us to know that. In public school, it's just like Nazis bad, Hitler bad. I'll tell you, I grew up watching the History Channel. It was like World War II, like all the time. Almost every episode on that channel was the History Channel. So I'm looking at authoritarian government, the evils of the Nazis, the evils of Hitler, the way that the Jewish people were demonized, and other groups too. These people were demonized and rounded up. They didn't have guns to protect themselves, or they gave them up. So they banned the guns, gun control, and then rounded them up and secretly killed them. He got the German people to hate them, to see them as less than human, to see them as people to be rounded up. They weren't people who had illegally gotten into Germany from other countries and were not there legally and being sent back to their home countries through a legal process. No, very different. Though the left now goes, well, it's the same thing. No, sorry, sending people back to their homeland, back to their home countries that they can work towards making great. That is not what the Nazis were doing. No, they were shipping them off to Poland to work in camps and to be murdered in mass. Not the same thing. And so I learned about the Nazis and the evils of them, and I learned some about the evils of the communists as well. So authoritarian governments across the board. Nazis, Hitler, the Italian fascists, they get labeled with fascists, even though the German Workers' Party, the National Socialist Party, which is a reaction to the communists trying to overthrow things in Germany, just as they had their Bolshevik revolution in Russia. There was this battle going on, and the National Socialist Party Hitler ends up winning in a reaction to the communists. You've got socialist ideology fighting socialist ideology. And Hitler wasn't the only one aiming for things that where he thought that he was leading this evolution of mankind through the evil Aryan ideology. Now, I recently read a quote from Trotsky where he basically, Trotsky and Lenin, he had very similar sort of beliefs being expressed that communism, Marxism is leading us into a new place of, it's like the evolution of man. This is the evolution of man from the evils of capitalism to wonderful Marxist socialist communism. After the bloody revolution, after all the people who disagree and are in the way, all the bourgeois get murdered, all the people who disagree, who think, I like having private property, I like being able to think for myself and not have to agree with the same things you do. I want to be able to own a business and buy and sell and trade and have property, things like that. Have a family, have a wife. What else? Because, if you read the Communist Manifesto, you'll see these things, and you'll see the destruction of the West laid out in that and playing out from the Communist Party to the Democrat Party today. If you go to the principles of the Democratic Party platform and you go to the Communist Party USA, they'll look strangely similar. Why is that? How do these both land in the same camp? This is crazy, wild, like communists, like that. It is mainstream Democrat policies these days, mainstream Democrat ideology, because they've been usurped and they don't even know it. You talk to a liberal about communist ideology and they're like, no. That's like right-wing conspiracy sort of stuff. They have no idea. So public education, public discourse is the communists are bad. The fascist Nazis are bad. Of course they're bad. They're evil. They're terrible. They are the worst. But then people don't know about what was going on with communism, what was going on with the Bolsheviks, what was going on with the Soviet Union propagandizing and working their way into Europe more. The socialism the socialists thought that already was in Europe, because that was already going on then back in the earlier 20th century, and also working in the West. That we actually did have communist sympathizers sympathetic to the Soviet Union who were aware of the evils of the Soviet Union and helped them, had our government help them. Okay, and so fascism goes up as that's the threat of the West, and communism gets downplayed as that's that thing over there. We don't really need to worry about that. While the communists were actually whispering in the ears, extending their open hand to liberals and to liberal-leaning Christians to get them drawn in. I'm going to speak about that in more videos as well. There's a wonderful book called The Devil and Karl Marx that goes into a lot of this stuff. So that's an area I definitely want to explore more. My point of bringing that up is I despise authoritarian government over controlling totalitarian and dictatorship governments of all flavors. I don't want any of that. I want my rights. I want my speech. I want my faith. I want my guns. I want the right to not have soldiers in my house, or to be forced to house homeless. Maybe that would be the modern version as far as where the Third Amendment would be relevant, because I could see the left trying to mandate a thing like that, because all our values and rights are under attack by the left. But the Fourth Amendment, right? The Fifth Amendment, to not have to incriminate yourself. All these amendments, they all matter to me. I read the Constitution recently and the Declaration of Independence, because I want to be familiarized with that, and it's just really something. I mean, they are beautiful documents. The founders were geniuses. These evil white men were geniuses, and they actually, through this revolution, a revolution that didn't end in, like, I don't know, tens of thousands of people being decapitated, whereas Karl Marx liked the French Revolution. He looked up to the French Revolution. That's the kind of revolution he wants. He wants the revolution, and the Marxists on the left and the Antifa types, they want the revolution where once they win, they kill everybody who disagrees with them or sends them off to some terrible prison camp. People on the right, the radical right gun owners, have been worried about this, fearing that this is the direction that they wanted for years, as the left gaslights the right and says, we don't want your guns, we would never do that. Now in 2025, Charlie Kirk gets murdered, and people on the left, many people on the left, celebrating, happy about it, approve of it. Well, he said hateful, mean things. And so they can understand. Maybe they won't celebrate it, maybe they'll hide it. Oh, but they could understand it, though. You think the right? You think anybody is going to give up their guns? Going to trust a government run by you? to protect them, the people who want to defund the police, the people who want to let the criminals out like constantly so they can reoffend. You, the people, if you're one of these people, who hate self-defense, who think who will come up with some reasonings about how this is, it's unfair, right? It's so final. Oh, it's not fair. It disproportionately affects blah, 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 right? You think the right is going to trust you with their safety? Trust the government with their safety? No. We trust ourselves with our own safety. Because when it comes down to it, in the moment, the only one who can protect me is going to be me. It's not you. It's not anybody else. It's not the police. They're not even required to. And good luck having to have like a police officer around if you happen to be criminalized. They better be real close and ready, because crime happens fast. Murders happen fast. They tend not to happen with police around, because as much as a lot of criminals are dumb, they usually don't do their crimes right in front of police. Anyway, I'm going to have a lot of sidetracks on my channel. Oh, sidetracks. This is how I think. How are my conservative counselors, my fellow conservative counselors, those conservative Christians who are maybe conservative leaning or centrist Christians, the people who feel like they have to hide their views in our field, the moderates who probably have to feel like you hide your views in the field, anyone who disagrees with left-wing ideology. I want you to speak up. I want to hear your voices. I want to encourage you to speak wherever you work. Mental health professionals, professionals of all kinds, psychologists, let's all be Jordan Petersons and Charlie Kirks, and we don't have to all disagree with each other. Like, debate is a beautiful thing, and Charlie showed us that. Let's call out the left-wing biases in our field. Let's call out the lies. Let's call out the anti-science and anti-truth that goes on. Let's call out the propaganda that we clearly see, the silencing of our voices. Let's push back against this palpable culture, this pressure. You can feel it. You can feel that you have to be quiet. Don't say it and don't rock the boat. They can make their little attacks on Trump, maybe even little rants. They can talk about their affirming this, affirming that. They can talk about LGBT plus rights until they're blue in the face. As if everybody who is a lesbian or gay or experiencing like gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder, which was probably the better term for the diagnosis. Yeah. Right? Before they changed it because of the activist pressure on them, and really they probably wanted to anyway, the people who write the DSM and change the DSM and update it, right? To shift from disorder to no, it's this thing, and to perpetuate this idea that you could be trapped in the wrong body, this preposterous and unscientific idea. You can feel the pressure that if you disagree, you're supposed to be silent. Sit down, shut up, get to the back of the bus. And then they tell us, we're the oppressors and we're the fascists. No, we're the people that want to debate. We're the people that want the good ideas, the best ideas, to rise up to the top. Good ideas will win in the end. Good economic principles will win in the end. Truth will win in the end. All of these things, the Marxists, the communists, and they were coming out more and more, revealing themselves and their ideologies more and more, with the oppressor oppressed. If you believe the world is made up of oppressors and oppressed, of people with power and their victims, this is an ideology believed in wholeheartedly in the left and in left-wing counseling, psychology, practices like that. That is, you'll find that in like the first page of the Communist Manifesto. That is Marx to the core. So I don't want you dehumanized when I say you're a Marxist, you're a communist. I'm calling you, if you happen to hold those beliefs, just what you are. I want you to know that you hold the ideology that is the ideology of mass murder in the 20th century. That killed way more people than the Nazis. So, like, yeah, Nazis are the worst. Nazi white supremacy ideology, real white supremacy ideology, not what the left has called, like, every aspect of white culture, every aspect of European, American culture has now been deemed white supremacy, which is disgusting because actual white supremacy is a really terrible thing. Actual Nazism is a really terrible thing. And people who actually want to wear the armbands and stuff like that and actually look up to Hitler are really terrible. That's disgusting. It's awful. And yet there's also the communist side. Russia, where political opponents and really everyone in society became oppressed. People in the millions and tens of millions from being starved to death, from being absolutely silenced, sent to gulags for years and years, getting a tenner. If you read the Gulag Archipelago, it's a long book, still working my way through it. Torture, massive societal torture. Read about it. Of all the evils of Nazism and all the evils that they perpetuated, they were held accountable, and we see them as evil. Karl Marx, the communists, the Soviet Union, China, Cuba, North Korea, Venezuela. The oppression that they caused, never called out, never held to account in the same way that Nazism in Germany was held to account, was not revealed in the same way as everybody knows about Hitler. But they don't really know about the intricacies of the evils of Lenin and Stalin, the things they believed in, the things that they taught, and how actually in line with Karl Marx they were. These people were steeped in it. People on the left go, well, that's not real communism. We would do it in a different way. You don't know your Lenin and your Stalin and your Trotsky well enough if you think that wasn't real communism, the real manifestations of what communism produces. It's actually, Karl Marx didn't even know how to get to communism. Like, you go and read the Communist Manifesto, and he just kind of like skips to the end, just like, well, once we've overthrown like all the things, and we have to have a dictatorship for a while to get to that point, we have to have this dictatorship of the proletariat, which is actually just, we get to dictatorship. And then somehow dictatorship jumps to we're all in the happy little kumbaya commune without money, without family, without any traditional values, because they've all been overthrown and replaced, because everything needed to be abolished and rewritten. Somehow you just skip to the end there. And so the communists in modern day go like, well, maybe we'll figure out how to get to that end. Instead, we see that no, it really still comes down to bloody revolution, wanting to kill us because we disagree, because we don't want that, and we don't want that for the world. And again, if you go and read the Communist Manifesto, you'll see this is a global plan that Karl Marx had. The Soviet Union wanted, the ones who called the West imperialists, wanted to take over the whole world with one party, one communism. The Chinese CCP, they still want that. They may not. They had to go back, just as Lenin had to go back into relying on more capitalist principles, so they didn't all like starve to death. The CCP realized, wow, they can make a lot of money by actually being a lot more capitalist. So even though they don't look very much at all like communist anymore, the authoritarianism is still there. And I suspect that the global domination, which is just a part of it, is still there because they don't want people to disagree with them, because Marx lays out in the Communist Manifesto actually the things that are great about capitalism, how awesome it is, how it replaced previous sorts of systems of how power was coming about through the ages. He's his own best enemy against his own ideology. Basically, capitalism can exist anywhere in the world, people will prefer that, is basically Marx's argument. And therefore, capitalism has to be done away with entirely because we can't allow people to have another choice. Rabbit hole. People of all sides exist in the Republican Party and the Conservative Party and the right. And I welcome you. I welcome you. Whatever you may be experiencing, whatever race or background you come from, if you look at the values, conservative values, and you go, yeah, I think I agree with that. I think I want a part of that. You're welcome. If you care about truth, of treating people with respect and not wanting them dead, of being able to speak freely and not have weird terminology shoved down your throat, or everything called a system of oppression, everything you do need to be called into question. If you don't have to want to live your life going, did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I offend them? Did I offend them? Come to the conservative side, come to the right, and debate us here. Let's explore different ideas. I work with people on assertiveness training, on being less afraid of other people, and yet the ideology of the left being manifest is be quiet, fear more, believe these things, and shut up if you don't, and worry that you might offend somebody. No, it's okay to be offensive. It's okay. You can do it, and you can be hated. Set yourself free. Feel the hatred from the left, from these people. Experience it, and realize, like Kevin in Home Alone, talking to the furnace. Shut up. I think he says that. It's been a little bit since I watched it, right? He says, I'm not afraid anymore. Like, what can they do to us? Dox us, fire us. Look at this malice that just proves their point. Just proves what they really think. Or kill us like they did to Charlie Kirk. I realized, after seeing that shot, I realized as a Christian, that's the worst they can do. They could kill me. They could kill us. And that's the worst they can do. I have new meaning to the verse in Scripture that we should fear God, because we should not fear man, because while man can kill our bodies, they cannot kill our soul. So do not be afraid of them, but rather fear God. And so I want my fear and honor to God to increase, and I want my fear of man, my fear of the liberal left, to decrease. And I want my colleagues and anyone on the left and any friends that even may see this, I don't hate you. We don't hate you. My aim is to love. My aim is for truth. I actually care about you. I care about all of my clients, whether I agree with them or not. And I respect them by giving them the space that they need. I want to honor them. I honor them in the practice. Because in that place, in the place of therapy, you should be able to explore and figure out where you're at, what you're trying to figure out, right? And so in the therapy office, I must decrease and they must increase because I'm there for the client. But outside the therapist office, outside of your profession, if you're in a profession where you really do need to give space to that client, where politics should not come into it. I love for politics to exit more of the spheres of things. Like let's talk about it less. I don't want to be on here talking about it, really. I mean, I'm excited to because of where things have gone, but it's also like, man, there's also that part of me that's like, I'd rather not. I'd certainly rather not have to talk about it in regards to my profession. I'd certainly rather not have it be coming up in seeing it how it is in the counseling field. No, I'd rather I'd rather the profession be the profession and unbiased and neutral, pure ground. And yet it's maybe that was always a lie. I don't know. I'll have to think about that, right? Because our worldviews come out and how we act and how we speak in all kinds of ways. And the worldview of the people on the left, moving farther and farther left, has become ever more different, ever more distant from our worldviews that haven't gone in that direction. People of all colors, people of all types, you're welcome. You're welcome to be on the conservative side, and we don't hate you. To immigrants, legal immigrants, you are welcome on the conservative side. I don't get what the idea of the left. They conflate legal and illegal. I don't understand. There's a process. My grandpa followed the process. I'm a third-generation immigrant. And that's all the difference in the world, to be respecting a country's laws and going through their process, or not, to be breaking their law. I don't get that. Even to people who are illegal aliens. They're not just lacking documentation, they're breaking a law, they're breaking our laws for coming into our country, and we have a country. I pay taxes for a country, right? Like, what am I paying the IRS for? And abiding by the other laws of the United States. If they don't actually matter, like it matters. If we're not a country and we don't have borders, then I'd love to go ahead and stop paying that income tax, man. But we do. We have a government. We have taxes. We have regulations. I have to follow them. Most of us have to follow them. To go a certain group of people that come from another country, they don't have to follow them for some reason, and you're hateful if you think that they should. That is bizarre, illogical, irrational, distorted thinking. So I want you to know that. Even them, though. I've known illegal immigrants. I don't hate them. They're people in a very understandable position at that. Like, if I lived in some crappy, oppressive, crime-bound country with a crappy economy, or a socialist country, I'd absolutely want to escape. I mean, that person who's illegally coming into the U.S., like, man, I mean, I probably would too. Like, that could be me, right? If I was somewhere else. Like, I don't begrudge that in a sense, because it's like, well, that makes sense, especially under an administration like the Biden administration, where the doors are wide open and you're getting encouraged and you're getting supported by NGOs and things to come up. It's like, yeah, U.S. paradise. The left here goes, evil, racist, fascist country, while encouraging, wanting the doors to be open for people to not have to go through a process or to misuse our process to come up here. Again, these things are contradictory. They don't make sense. And so I want to call them out. I'm here to call them out. I'm here to add my voice, my one little voice, and to take the heat of having that voice. I'm here. I'm speaking. We are the anti-fascists. We are the anti-communists. We are the anti-authoritarians. We are, because I remember the Tea Party movement, we're the ones that actually want the federal government to get smaller, for people to be more free and successful and prosperous of all types, while also being accountable for their actions. For justice to mean that people are actually accountable for their crimes, for corrupt politicians and repeat criminals to actually get the justice that they deserve, to stay in prison, to stay in jail, to not keep getting to victimize the rest of us who are following the rules. Again, as a Christian, I'm called to love everyone, and that can be a challenge. But I want you to search your hearts. Where's your hate? Because hate is a human emotion. We all have it. And it's important to be able to speak about it. If you hate somebody, if you've got hate in your heart, it's important to speak about it and process that and figure out what's going on there with that hate. If you hate me as you watch this video, like, that's something to explore, man. Because I don't hate you. I've had friends, people of all types and backgrounds. I've been friends with outright communist people, friends with gun-toting conservatives, people of all kinds, and we may debate politics, at least we did in the past before things got so divisive. But you know what? Still call them friends. Because I can still like them, because you know what? Politics isn't everything. Although it seems like more and more it's become more. And politics does hit on values. And politics do affect people's real lives. You know, when you say you want to ban those guns and take away those evil black rifles and things and semi-autos and all the things, or when you want to take away our free speech, that affects us. That's our rights. And yet we're still, conservatives still, try at least to have relationships and dialogue with you. And yet when you go, well, these special interest groups, right, are under attack, then we get labeled as fascists. And you really believe it. You really convince yourself of that and gin up this hatred for us and no longer want dialogue and no longer care about the truth and hide in echo chambers. I'm here to challenge that. Okay. So I want us to be a country where everybody's pursuing, free to pursue, equally pursuing, equal opportunity in the pursuit of life, liberty, happiness, and your faith. And I'm going to be here to be talking about the gospel too and how the faith in God has changed my life. So I'm going to be all over the place. I aimed for a shorter video today to introduce myself, but it ended up being a little longer. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for anybody showing up. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to face the fears of whatever repercussions of putting myself out there. Ugh, right? And yet, to quote Zorg from The Fifth Element, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I love that movie. Maybe I'll do movie reviews. I don't know. I'll have to figure out like copyright stuff and stuff. I don't know how people like put in clips of movies and sounds and things like that. But thank you for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to hanging out with more and seeing your comments. Please like and subscribe. I'm just getting started wherever this goes. I'm Sean. Thank you for your time.